Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Daddy Daughter Dishes. It's episode 11. I'm your host, Kiara, and with me I have my lovely co host.
BJ, the daddy.
He is the daddy, I am the daughter, and this is Daddy Daughter Dishes. Dad! How you doing?
What's shaking, bacon?
Mm, not a whole bunch. Uh, it's hump day as we're recording. It's
Yeah,
3D day. Um,
3D day.
I've had a pretty good day.
That's good. That's always
Yeah.
good. I know Terb say me too.
You hear
I
him?
know
Goodness,
yeah, I
let me
heard him.
fix you.
I woke up I woke up this morning and I immediately turned on the episode that dropped today, and I thought it was a really dope episode that we put out this morning, and I hope the listening audience and the viewing audience, I hope everybody enjoyed it because we just got more of it to come. But I was really excited about that episode that dropped today. I know hair and makeup was too.
It was a great it was a really good, like, first of all, I forgot it was Wednesday today. So I woke up to a notification from YouTube and Apple Podcast and Spotify podcast or Spotify that an episode was live, and I was like, did I upload it on the wrong day? Like I had like a little I was like, oh no, I scheduled it for Tuesday. And I said, wait, it is Wednesday.
It's
And I said,
Wednesday.
well, I guess I'm listening. And sure enough, I listened while I was getting ready for work and on my way to work.
Yeah, I did about the same. As far as my day, got my day going. Um it's been let me check in with myself really.
How are you
Let's
doing?
see. I am I'm doing pretty well. Like I'm not in a bad mood. I'm not in a funk or anything, but I can't sit here and act like I haven't been better. You know what I mean? Like I've had a couple of personal things going on that I'm working through, um, or have worked through this week, and it was kind of heavy on my head, but we got through it. Getting through it. Uh, Coming off the weekend, we had well, I didn't have Uncle Bob. We talked about that party they was throwing on their birthday
And
for their
bleep, bleep,
birthday.
bleep. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Bleep,
Yeah,
bleep, bleep, bleep.
and that was a very enjoyable event at my brother's on Saturday evening. It wasn't too big of a crowd, but it wasn't.
Mm,
It was like just the right amount of people. Not that
mm-hmm.
we don't have drama when we have get-togethers, but there was
No, but
nothing. I couldn't think of anything that went wrong that day. Like even the mixture of children that were there. Like how you get kids. Sometimes you hear somebody break out crying, whining to their mom. It was like none of that went on. I know I was checking out Daxton, and Dax had his little Tonka truck, and he was pushing that Tonka truck all over the yard. He was in his own little world. And when he got ready to get something, when he felt like he was thirsty, that little dude walked up. He walked over to where the drinks were and would grab a soda, a straw, and drink it and put it down when he got enough, and he would go back to that Tonka truck, mind his. I said, "Look at Dax, he is straight chilling. He in his own little world." Yeah, he was tearing it up. And D2 was out there with like his little cousins and a bunch of his
getting
cousins
so
because Jamel
big.
brought his boys. Jamel brought his boys. DJ had Roscoe with him
Oh,
and Baby
y'all had
K.
a family reunion.
Yeah, Booby and Bug was there. Like I was so happy to see
All
them.
of Grandpa Bob's grandbabies.
Yep. And even the new, because it ain't, oh, so it ain't JR7 no more. I think it's JR8 because DJ had He had the baby, the little
Oh
arm baby.
yeah.
Yeah, he had her. That
Dang.
was my first time. Even Yum
Oh
Yum was there. Skip's granddaughter. Ava was there. Like everybody, like it was really, really cool. All the adults were there interacting, mingling, having a good time. Like some old like childhood um friendships that got kind of rekindled
really?
because they hadn't talked in a while and some stuff going on, just life stuff. But
Yeah.
they got rekindled. I mean, it was some goodness going on at that party. We had a good time.
You
It
was
was a
rubbing your
real good
belly
time.
the whole event. It was that kind of good
Yeah,
time.
I
You,
don't know if I was rubbing my belly, but I brought my own stash of that sipping stuff.
oh
I was
goodness.
in a good
Yeah.
I was in a good place. I tell you
You was
that I was in a good
absolutely
place.
rubbing your belly if you brought some of that good stuff. You was absolutely rubbing your belly. No, that sounds good though. I was about to say when you said the crowd size, I was gonna be like, that was that crowd like when Uncle Bob would call us over and we would go to the house, we would go over and then you would call somebody up, be like, yeah, we had Bob's, and then they would come over and then like two more people, like two more groups of folks, and it was just like, how did this turn into a good time? We
Right.
we were
Absolutely.
just supposed to be making some steaks.
That's it. That's it. It always turned into something else. But
Now
it
folks
was
that
very,
made
very
liquor
enjoyable.
store runs, they got pizzas from Peglia's. But that's good.
Oh
That's
yeah.
always good to hear that y'all had a good time, especially like
Yeah.
coming together to celebrate birthdays. You definitely don't want no type of drama when you're supposed to be celebrating
Absolutely.
somebody's life.
Absolutely. Because we've had a couple Wang Dang Doodles. They ain't necessarily get out of hand, but if there's some traumatic events took place at them, right before was it right before COVID hit when Skip had the ATV wreck and we thought we about almost
Yeah.
lost him. That was real
Hmm.
scary. We actually kind of
That's
stopped doing
traumatic.
stuff after that. Yeah. But no, this past weekend, shout out to Kimon, shout out to Junior, shout out to Lydia. She did a great job hosting. And everybody who showed up, man, it was a good time. Looking forward to having a
Mm.
few more of those this summer.
I
Just
I
some kickback.
I'm so glad the vibes was right. Last you mentioned JR7, which is now JR8. He should get a refund on his shirts. But who are you wearing today? Looks like you have a name on your shirt.
So today, I when I first pitched that idea to you, the some of the first people I reached out to um, was some old friends of mine. Well, one in particular, because I know I think he's got, pretty sure it's two organizations. He's got a fitness organization and he's got a basketball organization. So I reached out to him. He was actually the first person. And Deshaun Harris, he lives in Fort Worth, Texas, and he loves basketball. We were teammates. I mean, all grade school, junior high, high school, all through school. And I reached out to him about the fitness deal, and he doesn't have any shirts made up for that. So he sent me this shirt. It's called the North Fort Worth Centurions. So, and if you know anything about us, where we went to school, our high school is Century Centurions is the name of our high school. The name of our mascot was we are the Centurions, and it's a his organization. Like I said, it's a basketball organization. It's a 501c3 dedicated
Nonprofit.
to, yes, a nonprofit. Um, it's created by Deshaun. It serves the North Fort Worth, Texas area. The name came from his elementary and high school to honor Ullen, our small town,
Good
his high
you.
school and his coaches from that time in his life. And Deshaun and his wife Dara, they do a great job of staying fit. He does a great job of teaching the young people about the game of basketball. He's also
Hmm.
good at big and like preaching the word of God. So I'm not gonna sit here and say he's a
Mm.
preacher, but his faith is strong
He know how to
and
spread
as a
that good
Christian, and
gospel.
he does, and he from what I know in his life, he lives by it. So Shout out to Deshaun. Shout out to the North Fort
The
Worth
Fort
Centurions.
Worth Centurions. Now that's
Yeah,
dope. So since he has a mascot, now does he play basketball? Like is it a team or that's the name? Like that's the business name.
this is the basketball organization. This is just
Okay,
basketball. Name of it. I'm pretty sure they have a team.
that's dope.
I really didn't go into that much detail with him. I just asked him if he wanted me to say some specific things about the organization and
Mm-hmm.
kind of what he does. He just pretty much teaching the game. Like I don't know if it's an AAU team or what, but I see videos of and pictures of him interacting with kids, going through drills and also teaching them life lessons. So that's the big thing. Like sports is great, don't get me wrong, and sports can help somebody in life, help you through some adverse situations. But the thing about teaching, especially young men, about manhood and having faith and learning about the good Lord and the Word, that supersedes it all. And I think that's one of his main goals and what he does with the organization. So again, shout out to Deshaun. Appreciate the shirt, man. Can't wait to get the other shirt. As soon as you get it, shoot it to me, and we'll be sure to shout you out again.
That's pretty cool. And I'll put the description of his nonprofit in the show notes if you want to check it out. You listeners and watchers, y'all want to check it out, learn a little more information. But that's really cool. I don't know why I thought Deshaun was in. Never mind. I know why. But that's awesome. You said he was. You said he was into fitness. I might need him to send me some workouts because the way I've
Hey, I
been
know he will.
the foods that I've been eating have finally caught up to me and it's
Mm,
reflected on my scale. I might need to hit him up for a consultation.
hey, I'm pretty sure he's capable if you're committed.
See that might have an issue with the latter. No, but you had a good week. So while you was partying, I was chillaxing. I um did a float spa, a float session. Have you ever
Okay,
heard of that?
what in the Sam Hill is a float spot, a float session? I've never even
So,
heard of such a thing.
okay, stay with me because it sounds crazy.
I'm rolling. I'm
So
listening.
you go and you go. It's like a spa-like environment. You go in
Uh-huh.
and you get your own room, and in the room there is a pod full of water full of Epsom salt that is
Oh.
and the water is heated to like 98 degrees, whatever your body temperature is. So when you get
Hmm.
in the float spa, you relax and literally you just feel like you're just floating in space. And I just did that for an hour. It's quiet, it'd be dark. Like
Oh, man.
it was so
That
I went
sounds pretty
in.
interesting.
It was. I've done a pod before, but this one was like a room. So like I took a shower and then I opened like the port. It looked like a portal to go somewhere, and you get in and then you relax. And I this was the first time I fully relaxed because sometimes I'll like wear a swimsuit, um, or wrap my hair up because I don't want my hair or wear like a neck thing so my head won't. But I just said I just want to do
Hell
it how
yeah,
it's
huh?
supposed to be done because I am
You
at
was
my
there in all
peak.
your glory, huh?
I listen. I was boiling over. I said, "Please relieve me of all this pressure." And sure enough, when I left, I was
Feeling
on
like a new
cloud
person.
72. Yeah, and I just been in a better spirit ever since. Like I really feel like I went there and got charged up. And then I came out and I was like, hmm, my
That's
back
what's up.
felt great. I was able to like, I got lower back issues sometimes. I was able to stretch my back in ways and I just
Hmm.
it was a great experience. And then just letting my thoughts finally tire themselves out and it was literally silence in my mind for like the first time in a very long time. And I was like, oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And it's 8 minutes from my house.
Oh wow. Yeah, that was convenient and sound like it was very very good for you, very beneficial for your mind, your body, and your spirit.
Yeah, just like this podcast. No, but yeah, it was really good, and it kind of brings me to my point about like last week how I felt. I last week was rough. I had it was real rough. Like I don't, you know, when you can feel like when stuff happen and you just kind of table it. You like, I ain't gonna deal with that right now. Like I'll deal with it later. It's like I
Yeah,
had
you
done
put it
that
off.
with. It's like I had done that one too many times, and
And
like
call it
little stuff was just piling on top of each
out.
other. And I'm like,
Mhm.
it's fine, it's fine. And then like the smallest, like I knew that I was at like my tipping point when work was starting to get annoying. Like very
Mm.
annoying. Like people was asking me for stuff and I was ready to argue back with them. I'm like, why are you talking to me? Why are
Okay, I
you
lost
asking
you.
me?
There you go.
Huh? Oh,
I had lost you for a second, but go ahead. It froze up for a
oh,
second, but go ahead.
yeah. But just being short with my colleagues and just being irritable because I'm not an irritable person for
Mm.
real. So when I notice myself snapping off or wanting to snap off, I can normally get my
Get
inner
yourself
thoughts
together.
and my inner emotions together. But I was not good at regulating my emotions last week, and I said, yeah, I need to do something because this is not good, and I know it's not good. So let me go book a session.
That's funny. You should say that. Like, I mean, you asked me how I was doing, right? I had a deal yesterday at work. Like, so I've been dealing with some personal stuff uh, over the last couple of weeks, which you're well aware of. I also took on something else this week that I've been working through. And yesterday, like, well, I started was the day before is when it started. I um, I was at work and we were putting together these shelves, right? You know me, I got a little shake a little bit. I got a familial tremor. And sometimes I get a little self-conscious about it. And when I'm at work, sometimes when I'm really concentrating on doing something, it takes place at a higher level. So we all working together. I'm trying to do something. This guy noticed my hand. He just yells out, why are you shaking? Blah, blah, you been drinking? It just all out of pocket. And I'm like, I didn't snap off. It just kind of annoyed the hell out of me.
You
And I
should
was
have.
like, no, I calmed myself down. I was like, it's cool. He don't know. It's okay. So I calmed myself down. And then that what was it, yesterday? We was working in the office because our company they bought a building here, and we've been working getting the building arranged and putting equipment inside of it and whatnot, putting desks together. So yesterday I put 3 file cabinets together. And I was working by myself, having my music playing. I was just chilling. So I walk out the room. People like to play little pranks. And there was a little prank. And I was not in the mood. And I'm like, the fuck, it's just, I was at that point
Today
and I
ain't the
had to sit,
day.
today ain't the day. And then I sat down and somebody sat next to me and it's like, what's wrong with you, Grumpy? And I'm like,
Mm.
today ain't the day.
Damn, they was
I
hitting
said,
all your buttons.
and I said, I was like, I said,
Cause you
I
don't
told, I
you
said,
don't like being called grumpy or angry.
bro, because I don't feel like I'm that person. But
You not.
I
So,
know my, it was showing on me yesterday because
mhm.
Jamel had, me and him had talked, and he was like, man, I meant to call you last night because you had a look about you, and I was gonna call and check on you. So I talked to him about it, and we worked through it. But it was just like when dude asked me, he said, what's wrong with you, Grumpy? And I was like, nothing's wrong, man. I'm just minding my business. I was just scrolling through my phone, minding my business.
Mhm.
And when I had a chance to get myself together, I just I'm like, how does a person keep something personal that's going on in their life from affecting how they treat their coworkers? Like you just said, how you was, you was ready to snap off,
Mhm.
being snappy or whatever, short tempered or whatever you want to call it, with your coworkers, and they really haven't done anything to you. It's just that you got some, like you, for your, in your case, you just had stuff had built up and built up and built up, and you was just at that point. And me is basically the same thing. I just was not in the mood because what I was dealing with internally, and it's just, sometimes you gotta keep yourself in check. You can't allow your emotions to get the best of you, but at the same time, you're human. Sometimes you might feel that urge to be like, look, motherfucker, leave me the fuck alone. you
Especially
know?
like I would have popped off on no dude talking about why you shaking because that's I have like a few like life rules and one of those things is like you don't point something out to somebody that they can't fix. Like it's one thing to point out like, hey, you got mustard like on your, wipe that off. You got that on your face. We could joke about that, but don't joke about
Right,
my bodily how something I can't control because now I'm self conscious. Even if I wasn't before, I'm like, well, damn. Now everybody think I'm either drunk or think I'm on something. Or, so,
absolutely. And I
so he,
and I get that
mm,
a lot. I
mm,
get that a lot, from people. And I had most of the time I'm in a place where I can collect myself and explain to them what's going on. But
mhm,
yes, when he did that the other day, it just wasn't the right time. And I didn't snap off on me, a younger guy. He's a good guy. I mean, it was just a,
mhm,
a tough situation for me. You know,
mhm.
I got through it. I'm all right. But it just kind of, you saying what you went through just made me think of that, because that was a thought that I had in my head. Like, it's a good thing to be able to do that, because you don't want to snap off on people at work. You mess around, lose your job behind stuff like that. You kind of got to
Yes.
be particular on how you move and stuff like that.
And I mean, like at my job, like not letting your emotions like show, because like we use
Mhm.
messaging a lot, so we're typing back and forth, and typically I use exclamation points, emojis, gifs, all that. So like my people know if I'm not in the best mood, it kind of tells on itself when I'm just responding with direct messages. Like somebody asked me for a
Um,
file and I was like, here you go. Normally I'm like, let me know if you need anything else. I just said here. And they didn't
right,
say nothing and they probably didn't think anything of it, but I know how I am. And I noticed uh like certain coworkers, they know because they know what days I'm bothered. They know they can read the room, and so
right,
but
yeah,
some like oh boy you just talked about he they need some classes on reading the room because what I mm, no I don't like
well,
people
for
choking.
and for me, like, I get where I hear what you're saying about that, but if they don't know, then that first time it's like, it annoyed the hell out of me, but I give them a pass because they don't know. If I have
Hmm.
explained it to you and you do it, now there's a problem, because now I feel like you trying to make fun of me, or you trying to be real shady about the shit, trying to point me out or make me feel like I'm less of a man or something like that. Now we gotta have a real
Hmm.
conversation. It didn't get there. It just
Yeah.
it just annoyed the hell out of me.
Well,
But
that's
like I
good that
said,
you
we
didn't
got
let it
through it.
take you there.
We're better.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's good.
Yes.
That's good. You got anything for me? Cause I got some. I was gonna talk about my neighbors. I'm starting to get neighbors.
No, let's talk about the neighbors. So we can. I'm sure I got a story or two about a neighbor that'll make me.
I got a
I'm sure
story
whatever
about a
you said.
neighbor.
Let me
Uh,
let me hear it. Let's go.
so we got movers to the right of us. We just got movers across
Mhm.
the street, and then we have our neighbor behind us. But this weekend, I think it was this weekend. CJ was walking Turbo, and you can I was upstairs, and you could kind of hear the noise from outside, like upstairs. So I hear
Okay.
CJ talking, and I'm like, who is he talking to? So I look out the window. CJ is talking to this old, short white man, and they sat there and talked for a very long time. And so CJ comes back in. He was like, "That was Mr. Bob." And I said, "Mr. Bob?" Yeah, Mr. Bob. He lived, he like one of the first houses on the same street, but up the street. One of the
Up
first
the
houses to
street.
be done up there. Yeah. And so I was like, "Well, what was y'all talking about?" And he was like, he wanted to talk about landscaping, and he getting his fence built right now. And he said we could come by and take a look at the fence anytime we want. And I said, "Oh, okay." And so then he said, "Yeah, and you famous." What do you mean? Because Mr. Bob said his wife said he should go down there and get to know them neighbors because she think that's where the designer wife lives at. And so Mr. Bob then walked up to CJ and said, "Oh yeah, you got the designer wife, the wife that's a designer, right?" And CJ was like, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, wait a minute now." No, but I went back and looked in our Facebook group for our neighborhood, and me and his wife had like a distinct conversation. And so I was like, "Oh, she probably just shared that with him." But I just thought the interaction was so funny because then we had made a trip somewhere, came back and it was raining, but Mr. Bob was outside his house, so we kind of slowed down, did the way. I'm just thinking
Right.
we slowing down the way. He's walking out towards us with his newspaper on his head. "Yeah,
He want to
well,
talk.
I'm gonna get a little wet out here." And CJ was like, "Well, this is my wife Kiara that we talked about earlier because the same day." He said, "Oh," he
Uh,
said, "Sierra." I said, "Kiera." He's Tiara. I said, "Key in ignition, key, Kiera." Oh, he was so he said, "Why, like I told your husband, you guys come check out the fence anytime." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "Well," and I said, "What's your wife's name?" He said, "Wolf." I
whoop.
thought to myself, that don't sound right. Then he said, he said, "You can see it on the front porch. You see the big W." And I'm thinking to myself, he thought I said, "What's your last name?" I said, "What's your wife's name?"
Oh, Mr. Bob needs some hearing aids.
Mr. Bob said, "Wolf." I said, "Oh." When he said it's on the front of the house, I said, "Oh, no, no." His wife named Carol.
Oh, oh, that's funny.
So that's Mr. Bob, and that's I felt good to know. I got Mr. Bob over there. Then I don't know if I talked about my neighbor behind me, Miss Pat. Lord, Miss Pat. She invited us to her housewarming party in June, and she making
Uh-huh.
oxtails and some other
Oh
stuff.
shit.
She said she gonna have 60 people over. They all vaccinated, and they'll wear masks if the guests prefer. I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, thanks for the heads up." Like, so we know. I thought that's what she said. She said, "Oh no, you're invited." I said, "Oh, well, you know, it
Hey,
depends on how that
she
food
might have a good.
smell."
I'm saying she might have a good oxtail now.
Her grandkids, she's from Trinidad, and her grandkids, she was like, "I can remember your name talking to me." She said, "My granddaughter's name is Kiera." And I said, "Oh, that's
Oh,
neat."
okay.
So they all came
Cool.
over. She tried to flag me down. Her family was over. Her daughter works for the attorney general or somebody, and so she's flagging me down to come see. My daughter I was talking about yesterday. This is her. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I'm just, I'm like, I don't really care, but oh. And so we did that interaction. Then then I'm sitting on I can't wait to get a fence. I'm sitting on in the patio and
In
just
the patio,
relaxing.
in the back,
I'm sitting in the
minding
back,
your business.
minding my business. I see Miss Pat in my peripheral, so I was like, "Oh, if I turn my chair a little, we won't make eye contact, so I gotta talk." Miss Pat said, "Kiara, Kiara." I said, "Oh." I said, "Huh, Miss Pat?" She was asking me, "Does it get dark in your house during the day?" I said, "No." And she said, "Well, do you have a window in your kitchen?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I was talking to CJ and realized she has the floor plan that's really wide. So she has like
Hmm.
a glass film thing on her front door, so it like blocks the sunlight, and she has
Oh,
no
okay.
other source of light coming in because she that's like the only light she got basically. In her house, the way it sits, the sun don't go in there. But the way she said that,
Gotcha.
she said, "I like my old house better. I mean, this house is nice, but it's too dark."
Miss Pat
I'm thinking
finna
to
buy
myself,
some windows. She finna do some remodeling. She
it's
just had the house built. She finna do some remodeling.
she was outside spray painting something, some cabinets or something. I'm like, what Miss Pat out there? I was just watching her make sure she ain't fall out because she was doing a lot. I said, oh, okay. All right, Miss Pat.
That's,
She said my dog's name was Magic Johnson. I said, oh, he died though. The dog did. She said, yeah, my dog
oh
died.
no.
That's how she said. Yeah, my dog died. His name was Magic
Gee,
Johnson.
wow.
I had to send you the Simply Safe doorbell footage because I got it. My dog
Oh
died.
man.
His name was Magic Johnson. I said, oh, okay, R.I.P. Magic. Um, yeah, and so, and then we have next door neighbors, right next door. Um, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. The wife came over and introduced. She rang the doorbell like during the weekend, and this was like 2 weekends ago, I think. And
Hmm.
like me and CJ sit on the couch, doorbell rang. I'm like,
Like
you
who the
expecting
hell?
anybody?
Right.
So I
Who's
look at
knocking
the
at our door?
camera. I look at the camera. I said, who is this white woman? So I go, we go, he goes and opens the door because I said, you go do it. Because last time I got it, it was Miss Pat and she talked to me for 30 minutes. So I said, it's your turn. So it's the next door neighbor. She said, "Hi, I just want to introduce myself." She was like, "I'm so and so, and this is my husband." She's like, "So I know a guy who does fences, because I work for home builders." And she was like, "I was wondering if you guys, want to exchange information." And then she said, "We live next door." And then she said, "My brother and his wife live directly across from us. So they're going to get one
What?
big fence with like a door in the middle because they both have like kids and dogs." And she said, "And if you wanted to connect yours, we could all do it at the same time and get like a lower price." I was like, yeah, send me the information. So they've been pretty
Oh,
chill.
directly across, like in the back.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm,
yeah. So they
obviously,
share a
yeah,
backyard. Yeah. And I was
gotcha.
like, I said,
That's pretty cool.
I was like, brother. I was like, I wonder how does that even come about? Like, what does that conversation look like?
What, as far as having a house like that with a sibling?
Yeah. CJ said that might be something that like people grow up like aspire like if you're closest siblings. He said he
Mhm.
was like, I could see me living across the yard from Kaylin Sly or Kara. And I was like, I mean, I guess I could. I just it's not something that crosses my mind. Like
Right.
I so
Well, it wasn't kind of, they used to live across the yard right
yeah.
there at the house.
Yeah, he did.
So it
He
was something
did.
similar. He wasn't, not when I owned the place, but when mama was there. So yeah,
Yeah,
we
so
get it.
it's interesting. I was they had a little
It's a
cookout. It
different
was
dynamic.
cute. I said, I see y'all. I'm gonna keep my eye on y'all, but I do see you. Uh, and so yeah, those are my
Talking,
neighbor chronicles. I'm sure I'll have more as we continue to record because these
that's
houses
funny.
they starting to finish up, so people starting to move in. I ain't met the one across from the street from me yet, but I plan to because he had black friends helping him move in, and I said, "Oh, okay, I see it." They
You
wasn't
had black
movers either; these was
friends.
friends. Because
Okay.
it's like he had a crew. It was about 8 cars, and
Oh
it was
wow.
like they you could tell they was all good friends. The vibes was good. I was like, when
Yeah,
all of them leave, I'll go introduce myself. But for right now, I'm gonna let you marinate. But
that's
yeah,
funny. You talk about neighbors. It made me think of some of the neighbors we've had in the past, and the neighbor that
from
sticks out the most for
Metropolis,
me was Mr. HB, man,
Mr.
over in Metropolis.
HB.
Boy, Mr.
Man,
HB,
R.I.P. Mr. HB. I don't know if you did, but if you alive, you
man,
are
he was.
breaking a record of something
Man,
probably.
he gotta be pushing triple digits if he's still alive. Cause
Yeah, you
he,
got
but that man
107.
was the nicest. He was the nicest old man. He would have that little storm room. He say, "Hey, anytime there's a storm, you don't have to knock on the door. Just bring the kids on over. Go downstairs. That door stays unlocked." All right, Mr. HB, and we utilized that thing about
We sure
quite a
did two
few
or three
times
times.
too.
Yep. Yep. Mr.
That was
HB
funny,
was
old Mr. HB.
I had this. It's so funny that I just told that story about Mr. Bob not being able to hear because I'll never forget Mr. HB. He had like we was I think we had like came like parked or something. You know, he used to always wave like if he saw us, and so he saw
Mhm.
me and like it was either you or mommy, and he like waved us down like to come over, and so he was like, I don't know how we got to it, but he said what I heard was, "Do you want a pair?" And I was like, I mean, yeah, sure. He comes out with this teddy bear, and like I think he had got it like at
Mm.
a festival or something. And I'm like, where's the pear? He gave it to me, and I was like, what? I mean, I'll take it, but I was expecting some fruit. So that's just a random Mr. HB story. Nah, that was a cool dude. That was a cool dude. Yeah. Think he didn't he used to have like his daughter come over every now and then? Did somebody used to come stay with him for a little bit? Or did he have a girlfriend? Did he
I
have a
honestly,
girlfriend?
that's been so long ago. I
Mommy,
don't
I know.
remember.
I think he had
Yeah,
a
she'll know.
girlfriend because I think she used to come. We'd be like, "Oh, she here. The car is
A
here."
little older lady. Yeah, it was a little older
Yeah.
lady used to come over there and see about him.
Yep.
Yeah, sure was. Yeah,
And I think,
Mr. HB, he was a good old man.
and that's the only neighbor. Did I have any other
We had the Dexters was neighbors there for a while.
neighbors?
There
Very far neighbors. Still neighbor though,
and then
by
we had
definition, a neighbor.
then we
Malik.
had the Wilburns and Malik. They live, neighbors now. That's about it. I mean, we had when you was a baby when we stayed in them apartments in Paducah, we had those rude neighbors. Well, they wasn't rude. I don't know what the deal was. It was a couple, but then they broke up, and then that was that.
Oh,
I used to drive truck then, and I used to have to get up early some mornings. And one night it was a Sunday night, and I don't know what the hell was going on, but they had left their music on, and they were not home. And I was trying to go to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. We ended up having to call the landlord, and she was pissed off because she had to come over there in her nightgown to get in that
yeah,
apartment to turn that
in
damn
her
music off.
move.
Yeah, it was that was not a time when I after that experience I had made up my mind I was not living in an apartment complex, with my
Mm,
family. But here I
yeah,
am. But it's a work thing here. This ain't
yeah.
permanent. But
It ain't no
you
permanent.
never
It's a
say never because you don't never know what's gonna happen to you. So
yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's crazy how I just lost my train of thought that fast.
it be
I
like
literally
that
saw it
sometimes.
floating. I saw
I'm
it
supposed to be
floating
the
away
old
from
one.
me. I know,
I
right?
think we can if you lost your train of thought, I can touch on something because it's something that I wrote down. We kind of talked about it before we started recording, and it's something that I know that is concerning a lot of people, uh, not only in our little small town area of Illinois, but around the country as well. It seems like it's already an uptick in the senseless violence and
Mm,
people getting killed and shot over basically nothing.
dumb.
Like I know
Nothing.
I was watching somehow because I don't normally watch them like fight videos and stuff like that, but somehow or another I come across a video. I think they was in Tennessee or Mississippi somewhere. These two
The
girls, they were
cousins
cousins,
at the
went to
house.
somebody's house arguing with
Mm,
them,
I
and
saw
the
that.
girl was on Facebook Live, and the girl just popped. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, and then I know there was a report about a shooting on Beale Street in Memphis in broad daylight, like on Beale Street, like And then even at home, I heard there was a, prom's been going on. I heard there was a shooting
Mhm.
at a prom after prom event in Paducah. Then
Yeah.
the young lady over in Cape, rest in peace to her. I don't know the family, but there's a lot of people that I do know that family.
Mhm.
And something happened with her. She got shot, and I hear they took her off life support the other day. It's just,
Yeah, that's
man,
sad. Nobody's
I,
had to. I mean, it's, ugh.
I just don't these people. It's like they don't value life. They don't value their own lives, and if you don't value your own life, you ain't gonna give a damn about taking somebody else's life.
Nobody else's life.
And they don't. It's like they don't think about it until it happens, and now they're crying, talking about they're sorry, and now you're running from the
Free my
police, you're on
dogs.
the run. Like, I don't. And then you got people supporting your bullshit. And we wonder, and some of us wonder why it continues to happen. Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not upholding no foolishness. I don't care what it is. If you wrong,
You
you just
wrong.
wrong, man. Like,
Mhm.
I I can't. It's hard for me to even talk about it because I can't wrap my head around the mindset. Like, if one of
Yeah.
my dudes, if we hanging out, and one of my guys is being ignorant to the point where he gonna uh, pull out a gun and try to shoot somebody, like, first of all, I'm gonna be gone before I even get to that point, cause
Mhm.
I'm gonna roll with my dogs. But when it get to the point where your ass is just being real ignorant and belligerent, you on your own, bro. I don't have no time for that. I value my life. I'm not finna put my life on the line for your ignorant, your stupidity. I ain't doing
Yeah.
that.
You
I
might
never
not like your
have,
life,
and I never
but I
will.
like mine.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm one of the most loyal friends a person could ask for. But if you my friend, don't put yourself in a situation that's going to result in both of our lives being in danger. Nah, we don't do that.
Mhm.
We don't play that shit. I like hanging out. I like living. I like breathing. And I like
Yeah.
being out. I ain't trying to be locked behind nobody bars. Cause so if you do some crazy shit, I don't give a damn. I ain't no snitch, but I'm gonna tell the truth.
Look, y'all, can y'all order me an 8 count nugget and a large fry? Because I got some beans to spill. Large
Give
cup.
me a pen and paper.
Yeah, so I can add everybody in this photo. Oh, we got the biggest bitch. Nah. No, but that's about like I've been thinking on that all just the past few weeks because I saw that video like you mentioned about the cousins. That was another family member's house they I went to.
Oh,
Then I saw another one, and I can't remember what it was, but it was some girls fighting, and they just one girl started shooting, and I'm like, they were young. They looked so young too. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't, how do we get here? Like, what is the steps? Where do you go left when you should have went right? Or, I mean, it's not always a one off thing. A lot of times people are victims of their circumstances, but the minute you go from being put in circumstances that make you have mental health issues or maybe you grew up in a violent home, like I feel bad for you all the way up until you put that violence on somebody else. Now all that stuff, like all these shootings and stuff, a lot of people have been talking about the Second Amendment, and it's not the guns, it's people with mental health issues. And okay, uh you can have mental health issues and still be held accountable
it
for
still
your
has
actions.
absolutely. Like, that's not
I
a that's not a get out of jail free card to do stupid shit
Not at
just
all.
because you got a mental health issue.
And what I've learned recently is even if you aren't like mentally competent to stand trial, you still go to prison. You still go to a prison. Like some people think, people get They think that that's they get out of jail free card. Now you still go to jail. You just with the crazy folks. So you better pray you real crazy because you finna meet some people who ain't who are for real. But back to the senseless killings. I hate seeing updates that would be like a mama, and so the way social media has it so visible nowadays, the mom is literally grieving on the timeline, and it's like,
Yeah, I saw.
God,
You know,
she's
that's got to be for you something to happen to one of your kids with some. I mean, under nor like if something happened to a parent, a child, the parent is grieving. Like if it's a health issue they can't control, you gonna grieve anyway. But when you know it's something senseless and it didn't have to happen, that I can't imagine the pain and anguish that's associated with that because you don't think about that type of thing.
you
It's
shouldn't
just
have
like the
to.
mamas you see. And it don't stop. Like even if you know that your child is in the streets, so to speak, and something happens to them, if you see those mamas, very seldom do you see somebody standing up talking about, well, he lived that life and that's what he knew was gonna happen to him. It's never that. It's
My
always a
baby.
grieving mama somehow talking about crying about her baby. It kind of, I mean, as far as why we're here or how we got here, last week we touched on discipline and
Mm-hmm.
upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That
just
plays.
so many different factors goes into what shapes an individual, what moves an individual to move the way they do. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's ooh, like if you had some abuse growing up, if you come from a poor socioeconomic background, like if you grew up in the gutter and you don't have that most motivation to get out the gutter, you just got this idea that I grew up poor and I didn't have this and I didn't have that. So what I see, I'm gonna take. It's a lot of people who grew up with no parents and nothing, and they have that. Unfortunately, they have that mentality. Like, if I see something I want, I'm gonna take it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you don't realize is you got somebody that might have something you want. They work their ass off just as hard to get up out of the same situation you was in, and they not gonna let you take it. And you might be
Mm-hmm.
the badass on the block, but that motherfucker might be the polished badass. And when you meet that
They the
bad,
badder badass.
I mean, they may not be the batter, but they on the same level. They just polished. Like he might have went to
Mm-hmm.
school. He might have worked his ass off to get up out that gutter. And you in the gutter. Let's say you coming up, but you got
Mm-hmm.
your shit by taking it. So you think you bad. He know he
Mm-hmm.
bad, and y'all cross paths. Then you get what
Mm-hmm.
you get
It's the
because
furniture moving.
man, you get some consequences and some repercussions behind some stuff like that. But
Yeah.
man, I don't know. I don't know a lot about those type of situations. I know when I see some senseless stuff go on, just like the thing in Cape. The thing in Cape, like we grew up hanging out in Cape. We hang
Mm-hmm.
out in Cape. We go bowling in Cape. We go to Peggy Eyes in Cape. We go to, we hang out in Cape. And now
Mm-hmm.
it just seems like it's just getting worse and worse.
Worse.
And it's like it's so like it's for some people it seems like it's cool to
That's
live those
another
type of lives.
thing
And
because
until that bullet either comes from your gun and hits somebody and you gotta face them consequences, or you catch that bullet from somebody else's gun and you gotta face those
mm-hmm.
consequences. Then it ain't cool no more. Then is they doing so and so dirty and they always messing with so and so. But so and so been in the streets messing with them too. So I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
you gonna be in the streets, you gotta be in the streets right. Like that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
These
Stand
young
10
cats,
toes.
I don't know nothing about the streets. Not a lot, but
But you
I
know they ain't
know
doing it
if
right.
they ain't doing it right, because there's got to be some respect. There's got to be
There's
some
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 rules.
respect for some rules and
Mm-hmm.
respect for the game. And these some of these folk they just don't play. They play by no rules. They don't have no
Mm-hmm.
respect for nothing. And that's one of the reasons why we are where we are today. Used to be honor among thieves, so to speak. you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's like I can't remember if it was Snowfall, The Wire, or BMF, but all those shows portray some sort of gang or group mentality activity, and they had shot at somebody on a Sunday, and everybody was like, "You tried to shoot so and so on a Sunday on the Lord's
Right.
Day. You almost hit so and so granny. Like she had a church hat on, and you know you're not supposed to be shooting people on Sundays." And I know that's like a funny moment in the show, but that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, gang violence affects gangs. They don't really take it outside like that in certain places. Like it just stays among them. And it's like when you
Hmm.
start venturing out, you involving people who didn't ask for this. Like I think
Right.
Tariq said in Power, he said like we know the game. She not in the game, so we
Right.
shouldn't be involving her in the game, and she shouldn't have to face those consequences because she didn't sign up for this. We did, and I just it I
That's
just
that's interesting that you put it like that because I remember when I was in high school and there was certain little gang, we'll call them gangs, certain little gangs in the area, and I would sometimes me and my two partners, Pud and Rodney, sometimes we would venture into other areas, other spaces, and when I was coming up, everybody in the area they knew of me through basketball. Now, I didn't
mhm,
do no foolishness. I had friends like in this town, Carroll Mounds, Cape, Paducah, Metropolis. I never concerned myself with going somewhere, being afraid to go somewhere because who I might have been affiliated with because I wasn't affiliated. I was affiliated with the basketball court, and
mhm.
that's
They
how
said he
everybody
good.
that
That's
knew of me.
he gonna
Yeah,
get
they
us
and
out the
the
hood.
guys would. But no, the guys would say they were like, "Hey, he cool. Don't nobody
Keep him
mess
out
with
of
him. He
trouble.
cool."
Mhm,
And if
yep.
God forbid, if I would have even thought about getting in some trouble, one of the older cats who knew about me playing basketball probably would have snatched me up, be like,
Pulled your
what the
sign.
fuck is
Boy, this
you
life
doing?"
ain't for
Oh
you.
yeah, nah, absolutely. No, you know
When
you
you
ain't
could
about
shoot
that.
free
Even
throws.
some of my friends that did grow up and decided to take that path, they would say, "Man, we did some crazy stuff." And I was like, "Man, I bet y'all did." And he was like, "Man, I'm glad you wasn't there.
Hmm.
Glad y'all wasn't there because it wasn't cool. And I know now it wasn't cool. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
now I
y'all
really know they
decided
ain't
not
cool.
to engage in that type of stuff." But it breaks my heart to hear about, especially when it hits so close to home. It just breaks my heart to hear about it. And
Especially with the
it
teens
I
nowadays, because we have our teen sister, well, my teen sister, your teen daughter. But I mean, every time I see 15-year-old, 16, 17-year-old killed, I'm like the
yeah.
prom killings, those mess me up. I can't. I tried to read one, and my chest
Who
was
the
just
fuck?
hurting. Who
Who the
says?
hell shoots? I'm gonna go shoot up a prom or a party after these kids. They just got out of prom. We gonna
And
go
you
shoot, or
20,
we gonna take a gun
nigga?
in
You
the
need
party.
a job,
Right,
not a
your ass grown.
gun.
You need
You
some
graduated
damn
8 years
business.
ago. Get out of here. That
Take
just
your
that
ass
just
down to the damn armed first forces office and sign up and go to
and
the damn
sign up
military or
since you
something.
want a gun so bad. But no, that's that's why I just be like, the world is so like you said, keep your head on the swivel. My detector is good when I'm around certain people. I know I can either be a little more relaxed, or I know, if we bring this person, if this person is at like a party and we know they there, especially in college and stuff, because went
Right.
to school in the hoods, and it's like if a certain group of people gonna be there, is I wouldn't just wouldn't go, and if you do go, you just stay far away from them because they gonna get into it. They always carrying, and bullets ain't got no names on them, and
And
I ain't trying to be the
the
luck of the
sad part
draw.
about it is the sad part about it. One of the sad things about these whole type of situations is everybody in the neighborhood know who be keeping up the shit, but
Mhm.
they don't want to rat nobody out because there's no snitching shit. But yet your neighborhood is being terrorized,
Mhm.
and you don't want to say nothing because you don't want to come across as being no snitch.
Or you
On
just think
one
that's
hand, I
part of the
get it.
game,
Fuck that
whatever
game.
that means. Right. I don't like that game. Can we stop
That's a
playing this game? This game is Monopoly to me. I don't like this
hey.
game. Can I get
That's a
sorry?
game. That's a game that has no winners.
No,
That game has no
just like
winners.
Snowfall, what we talked about last week.
Yeah.
There's no way to. And if you, I mean, if you ask any seasoned, this sounds so, any seasoned, person who be in that mess, they'll tell you like, it's only a few ways out of this. You either gonna end up in the ground, you're gonna end up behind bars. You don't get away from that life when you decide to be in it. I mean, you might think you got away.
Very, very seldomly do you get away.
Yeah,
Very
you see,
seldom.
Franklin Saint ain't get away. But I keep talking about TV shows, and I think we talked enough about the senseless violence. Please, y'all, tell your kids to stop being violent and instill some better home training in them. Tell them that's not right. They know better.
If they listening to us, they're not the problem.
You're right about that. Well, tell a
They
friend to
ain't the
tell a
problem.
friend to tell their
Reach out,
nephew and
reach
niece.
out and touch your neighbor. Put your
Make
hand
a
on your neighbor and
Facebook
say,
post. Look,
neighbor.
reach out to your Facebook friends and say, friends, let's have peace. But I was going to switch to television, kind of reading from the headlines today. Not from the headlines, but did you see that the writers are on strike?
I did not see that the writer. I heard about it. We was at work, and the little guy, Mike Huggard, had mentioned something. We was talking about some TV shows, and he said, "Well, he said they may the next seasons may not come out because the writers are on strike right now." And I was like, "What is Mike talking about?" Now you telling me about? Tell me about it, because I
Yes.
haven't engaged.
So here's the official. Um, Writers are upset because certain standards are not being upheld. Like it's like their union, so they don't have good work
Hmm.
conditions. The three I wrote the three down. There are three main gripes. They argue that Hollywood's pivot, streaming has taken over. Well, first of all, the writers are for like live TV shows, sitcoms, things that are filmed and then they air at a time on a network.
Right,
Whereas, a lot of content has shifted towards the streaming services, and writers say that Hollywood's shift towards those streaming services has made it hard to earn a working class income, especially because they live in California most of the time or New York. Um,
better move.
yeah. Uh, and then one of the gripes, which I didn't realize, but makes a lot of sense, and I would be on strike too, is that if you it used to be when it was just network TV, if you had a writing credit on a TV show and that show had reruns, you would get residuals for those reruns.
Right.
Writers writers don't get that anymore.
Like if
So
with the streaming, if you view it over and over, they don't get the residuals.
So I that part I'm not for sure. That's what I was gonna say. It's not the way it used to be, but it's not as good
Mm,
as
okay.
reruns on the TV. And so that's one of their bigger gripes. And then mini rooms. It said like basically they put all the writers in a room and close the door and say, come up with something and like they working countless hours. It's just not good work conditions. And I am fully like before I really didn't know why they were on strike, but the more I read into it, the more I was like, yeah, I would be okay with being on strike. They said it's the highest um like anticipated strike in the last 30 years. Did I read 30 or 15? Um and I think they said 96% of the writers in their union had
Oh,
voted to strike. Hmm.
they in solidarity, Tom. They
Yeah,
say the
and they
Brotherhood of Writers is. We standing together.
is strong. You know it's that means that like the future it's a little scary if you are a TV person, if if that's your steez, because your show Big Mouth, they thrive on those writers. And Abbott
Hey,
Elementary,
oh, now that's I like Abbott Elementary now.
they literally just started either I think they said I can't remember if it was Abbott, but somebody had tweeted and said they just had started they just finished writing one episode for season 3 of something, and then the strike started. And season 3 is supposed to
Oh,
come out, you know. And so the
oh,
strike now is gonna have like a ripple effect on the industry because we're expecting these shows. So what they're either gonna have to do is push those schedules back or wrap up the show. And I don't know if you noticed, but Girlfriends, I don't know if you know the ending of Girlfriends, but it ends very abruptly. And the reason it did is because the last writer strike, which was about 15 years ago, that was one of the
mm,
results of it. And so we
okay.
might see a lot more of that come, the next few years, which sucks. We supposed to be a first
You
world
know,
country.
yeah, we need to. They need. We talked about that a couple episodes ago.
Hmm.
This country is number one, but it ain't in number one. It ain't number one for what people may think it's number one. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of greed that goes on in them higher up places. Like I'm sure people in Hollywood, like give why are you digging in the pockets? Like
Of
the
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 people
part
who
that
make the
frustrates
content.
the hell out of me, like you said, you in California. I know they state income tax is terrible. New York, theirs is terrible. Illinois is the next one. These states tax the hell out their citizens. Like, and it's like people work their asses off. People work to try to they make an honest living. They try to take care of their families. They try to live a good life. But it's like the harder you work, you always
The
got a motherfucker digging in your pockets. I'm so
mhm.
man, I don't want to get on no soapbox. But you got these people, they don't like unions. They want to bust up unions. But at the same time, the people who run these companies, they ain't suffering.
No,
And then when you start talking about them paying a little more taxes, they have a holy shit fit.
you would have thought
But
they said
they'll
you
say,
got to cut
well,
off their left arm.
yeah, just like, but then you gonna make it more difficult for the people who's getting their ass up every day, coming to work at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, working for 10, 12 hours a day, coming home, trying to take care of the family. You want to make it harder for these people. You want to make it harder for teachers. You want to make it harder for
Nurses.
writers, nurses, doctors. You want to make it harder for people like me, like firemen,
Hmm.
police, good police officers,
People
not
who
them
do
bad
good for the
motherfuckers.
world
People who work their asses off, like
to
even
make an
the
honest
damn
living to make the world a better place.
fast food joints. I see these people. They done are fully automated a McDonald's restaurant. Who in their right mind? What I don't understand. Who in their right mind would go to a fully automated McDonald's store and order some food from there? Like it
Mm.
sounds good, but I, what the hell? What is that about?
Wait,
That's
who
just
even
like
asked for
Walmart
that?
and these damn you
Man,
can
don't get me
check yourself out.
started on the.
I ain't
It's
no
it's
we I and that's
27 lanes, and one is
27
open,
lanes and
and
one open.
one got Grandma Bertha, and she about 82, and she
And work and
is
done they done worked her ass off today. She
they
tired
done,
as
and
hell.
it's 10:30. You said Miss Bertha should be going home soon. Miss Bertha's sitting there. Well, do you know
I
the
don't get off
code?
till midnight. I don't get
It's
off till
like,
midnight.
and if you don't want Miss Bertha, you gotta scare your own shit. And that's that. I kid you not. That's something that will make me leave a store. I just kind
Oh,
of shoot at that.
I have left a buggy right there. I got it out the way of the next person in line, but I left it right there, and it don't do them. It don't satisfy nobody but me. But damn it, I'm not checking out my own gosh darn groceries. I don't work there.
You
I do
better,
not receive a W two from no store.
You made somebody have to restock the they see, and it's crazy because the people who should feel that pain don't feel any of it. It's just affecting the ones
The
who are
workers.
trying to make it better.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And so, unfortunately, it's just like we're stuck in a big old cycle. I don't like it. Sometimes you ever be thinking sometimes be like what's the point anymore?
Yeah.
I said
When
that
I
and
did
people
my
thought I was crazy.
when I did my had my taxes done this year, I'm looking at it, I'm like, what's the fucking point?
Like
I
why
don't I don't I don't want I don't want to do this shit no more. I
I
wanna
literally
I wanna draw down what money I do got, pay off all my debt, and drop off the grid somewhere. That's what I want to do.
Mhm.
I'm over all of this shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love life. I love my people. I love people. I love life. But this work shit, working to pay Uncle Sam all through the year, and
Mhm.
then you got your goddamn hand out at the end of the year too. Man,
And
I'm
then
over it.
the stuff that your tax is supposed to be paying for ain't being
I ain't
updated to
paying
shit.
for
You got
shit.
outdated
These raggedy ass
infrastructure, outdated
roads and shit.
roads. I hit a pothole so deep today I thought my front axles was messed up. I said the state of North Carolina is gonna owe me some money. I need a settlement. If you're a loved
Shit,
one driven on Highway 50 something,
you,
you may be
you better,
entitled to new tires.
hey, you better find you an old military person and get on that Camp Lejeune
Hey,
lawsuit they
hey, I
always
think.
running
Look,
up.
I think I've been close enough. I feel like I sniffed some of the Camp Lejeune air. I'm gonna catch that phone number next time the commercial comes. That the side note, but that's so funny you say that because I was hearing that first here. So like I'd be listening to podcasts, watching TV and stuff. So I thought it was just a local thing, and then I'm listening to a podcast that the hosts live in Arizona. And they made a joke, and he was like, yeah, they was at Camp Lejeune, and he said, well, we gonna get some settlement money, and I was like, oh, that's a nat. And then I heard mommy say something about it. I said, oh, it's like that. I mean, I
Yeah,
wouldn't go to a
it's
place called Lejeune, no way. I don't know. It just don't sound like you're gonna have a fun time while you're there. But
hey, spe-
hmm,
speaking of lawsuits, have you seen the I guess there's a class action lawsuit against Facebook. Have you done any digging on that?
I've done quite a
I've
few.
seen a couple of ads that say something about you can sign
If
up
you
for
use
a
Facebook.
settlement or whatever. Between
Mhm.
yeah, you know what that's about?
Yeah, I actually signed up for it. I wanted, well, Facebook is always infringing on their users' rights, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, because I've got one from Facebook before, and it was a nice chunk of change. If I had to assume, I'm not for sure about this one, but if I had to assume, they probably had some data they weren't supposed to have, and either sold it or just the fact that they had said data. Like I know with Snapchat they had one where if you use facial recognition, like for your of the filters, like with dog ears and stuff, they were like taking those facial
Mm.
recognition features and like using them outside of the scope of what their terms of service is for, for. And so
That's I think
they
that's
had to pay a settlement. I be look settlement me.
it's got something to do with how they use your information with third party people or something like that, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken.
Because most times they're like selling your information to you ever wonder when you get an increase in spam calls, you should check to make sure your phone number ain't been sold because that's usually when that happens. um you
Man,
know this is
I get so many damn phone. I bet you half the phone calls I get ain't. I don't know. I don't be knowing who the fucking people are.
oh
I know a
me
lot of
either.
them be. I don't know. A lot of them still be about trucking business. They be asking me if I want funding. I be like, yeah, man, send me the paperwork. I will sign up today. And they be like, well, can we get your last 3 months? I'm like, oh well, nah,
You
dog,
ain't
you
asked
can't
for
get
all
that because
that. You ain't asked for that.
I thought you was giving me. I said, I one of them. I said, man, I thought I need this money to get back going. So why don't you just hook me up?
Man,
I ain't
COVID
heard
to
from that
had
one no
me
more.
down. It's funny because I get texts, I get calls and emails every now and then. Either hey Benjamin Nelson or Benjamin, would you? I mean, or Kiara, we can get you funded for AMN boys. And I'm like, I don't know how we got here, but Please
Yeah,
stop emailing me. I'd be like spam. Because it'll say like Kiara, and then some say, like I said, Benjamin. I'll be like, I don't you. I know you probably just looked up LLC information online, but do some better research.
yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
right.
how do we get to? I don't know. You
I
got any
guess we
reviews
get
for
where
me
we.
today?
Not
I
any
think I actually
official.
got a long one. I want to say your UT Martin motherly friend left us a review because she apologized for not commenting on the last one. She was like,
Oh
"Sorry,
yeah.
I'm just catching." Yeah, here we go. Lisa Sykes.
Oh, that's Lisa from California.
Oh, okay. Lisa
That's
says,
not UT Martin. That's
"Is her name Lisa too? What's the lady
uh,
from UT Martin
who is the
name?"
UT Martin? Tina.
Tina. Okay. Well, Lisa says, sorry, I missed a couple episodes, but I'm caught up. With that said, episode 7 was popping. Key, you would be my work daughter based on how we both plug in and put our game face on. But if on this was the music episode, but if OnStar were to tap in my vehicle and hear me singing, they would navigate me to drive off the Golden Gate Bridge, talking about I don't know my way to Jose. And since you like that head banging stuff, have you heard the oldie Cult of Personality by Living Color? I have not. She said it's one of her all-time faves. She said you tapped on the right one with Joe Marvin. That R&B always hits right. On episode 8, I have a question on that negative news topic. Would you take the red pill or the blue pill? Referencing the Matrix.
Matrix.
I don't know what the pills
That's a
are.
whole topic. That's a whole
We
we have
should
to
do. I'm
go.
gonna
We
let
have to
you. We gonna put a pin in it.
be an assignment.
We're gonna let that
Watch
marinate.
it. Yeah.
And we'll come back to you on that one, Lisa. And then she said one more comment, Key. Team Virgo, kudos to you both for these pods, the topics, and just being you. I appreciate you both. Keep them coming. P.S. BJ, keep glowing.
Yeah.
Keep using your hydrochloric something acid on your face. Somebody else mentioned your skincare recently. CJ maybe. I can't remember. Somebody. I was like, huh. And then we have our good Uncle John. This review made my
I
day.
haven't seen these, so this is good stuff.
He commented on this one today.
Okay.
We scolded the audience for not leaving us any comments or reviews. He said number 10, well, at it again, brought back some memories about discipline. It's not easy raising kids, but at the same time, it shouldn't be that hard. I have two young men. As I see their growth today, I know we did good as parents because they know the assignment. Sorry I didn't respond to episode 9, but who is John Beasley and why is he always responding? LOL. I had to respond to some adulting, which has turned my life around completely. I enjoyed number 10. Keep whipping it and making it count. Shout out to
That's
Uncle
what's up.
John. That was a great
Shout out to everybody,
review.
man.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody. And if Uncle John, if the adulting thing, I hope that's everything's all right on your end. Reach
Yeah,
out.
absolutely. Like, hey, we don't. You know what we need to do? We need to go and get a couple T-shirts made and
I've
send
been
one to
working on it.
John, Uncle John,
Been,
and send one to
oh,
Lisa.
yeah.
Yeah, we should. I
We
mean,
should do
they
something.
coming through
I
all
mean,
the time.
I've been working on the design for it, so we gonna have something real soon. I got some designs to show you too. But yeah,
Okay,
so those are all the reviews I have. So y'all, if you hear in my voice, you know what I'm about to say. You come in this restaurant, you get these good meals. We serve you appetizers, lunch,
great
dinner,
ingredients.
desserts. We got Chef BJ in here. He got his ingredient cards. We put in all this hard
Whipping
work.
cream.
You have this great experience, and yet you leave and you don't tell nobody. What?
Mm.
You being stingy?
They ain't, they ain't black
You
people no tip.
gatekeeping? You gatekeeping? Don't gatekeep the good content now. You go on Apple Podcasts and you scroll to the bottom of the Daddy Daughter Dishes episode page. You click them 5 stars and leave us a little review. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know you're there, so we can one
That's right.
read your review on the podcast. You can get your shout out, and two, so when you guys put reviews on the charts, it does put us in other people's like recommended. It puts us into their algorithm, so people like you can hear us. And if you watching, leave a comment because we like to see those too. Like Uncle John, he always leaves YouTube comments. Or you can write into daddydaughter dishes@gmail.com. But
That's right.
were you gonna say something?
And for those I have reached out to about shirts and hats and any kind of to give a shout out to your black owned business, please you can email us at daddydaughter dishes@gmail.com. If you know me, you can hit me up on Messenger. However, if you got my number, hit me up directly. I don't care. But if you own a business or you know somebody who owns a business, I am eager to reach out and shout your company out. Just as something I want to do, show our support for black owned businesses because that's something great that makes changes in people's lives and in communities. So we want to continue to do
Absolutely.
that.
Mine too. I and my people, if y'all listening and y'all got
That's
something,
right.
y'all
Again,
know to
man.
send me everything because I'm ready to share. I know my mother-in-law got something cooking. I can't wait until she got
Uh
it together
oh.
so I can shout her out. But it's coming, so get ready
Uh
for
oh.
it.
Miss Arnda working on something.
She in the kitchen cooking. I said,
She in the
okay,
kitchen
the
cooking.
whole family finna be chilling. But yeah. That being said,
You got something for me?
I do. I have a good one.
I'm ready. All right. What you got?
Okay. All right. Ambulance drivers always have a partner with them because they're paramedics.
Pair of medics.
Paramedics. Nice and
Come on.
classy. That's a nice and classy one.
Nice and classy.
See y'all.
Y'all be good. If you can't be good at it.
Nice and classy.